Live TV.
Good morning and welcome to the vibrant morning here in BTV Kenya. Now this morning we have a lot of goodies of what is in the People Daily newspaper. As you know, Vibrant Morning brings you what is in the People Daily newspaper, but we only give you a brief of what is in the paper, as you also need to grab a copy and read more comprehensively of what is in the People Daily newspaper. Now this morning, remember, you can reach out to us. That is on our YouTube channel BTV Kenya. You can also reach on us on Facebook page Blackman TV Kenya. Remember to subscribe, remember to leave a comment so that we know where we are reaching you from. Remember, BTV, your home live TV, brings you more and more of what is in the People Daily newspaper. I'm your host, Gagi Isaiah. Now, without taking much of the time, I want us to look into what is in the People Daily newspaper. And looking onto the cover page of People Daily newspaper, we see the cover story, the big story, Trump's promise. We know of the turbulence that had been there for Donald Trump, the president-elect for the United States of America. He has had a lot of challenges being elected for the first time, and when he ran for the office for the second time, he was not fortunate enough to be re-elected, but he has bounced back in power and is back to sit in the seat. So you can also grab a copy and check onto that. That's a story where we see, you can see there, U.S. leader has made a promise that if kept during his second term in office, will significantly reshape life, culture, economics, politics, and diplomacy around the world. That story is on page 6, 7, and page 8. And also we see what Joe Biden said last day in office. The outgoing president of the United States, Joe Biden, said, "We know the struggle to redeem the soul of this nation is difficult and ongoing, but faith teaches us the America of dream is always closer than we think." That is also a story that will bring to you on Joe Biden. But looking on to other stories which makes the headline is thousands of students risks missing on bursaries. That is also what we have there. And also on page 2 we see patients in agony as clinicians begin strike. We know of the strike that is ongoing in the Republic of Kenya, and that and more we're going to give you brief of what is in them. Remember, you can grab a copy of People Daily newspaper and read, as it is a free newspaper. Just walk to your closest vendor, grab a copy and read more comprehensively. Now let us move straight to page 2. In page 2 we see patients suffer as clinical officers strike hit hospitals. Now we know many seeking services left stranded as medics stayed away, even as government officials said their issues had been resolved. And that is in page 2, a story by George Kibaso and Ruben Mwambingu. You can read that more comprehensively. Patients at public hospital faced sparse services yesterday, even as the government made a last-minute bid to get clinical officers to call off their strike. Now Remember, all hospitals beginning from level 2 to level 4, level 2, level 3, level 4 hospitals were affected, and we believe that with the talks that is ongoing, a resolution is going to be reached and the clinicians are going to go back to work. At the same time, we know the patients are going to get the services that they require. You can read much of that story by George Kibaso and Ruben Mwabingu in page 2 of the People Daily newspaper. You know, matters of health is a key and really affecting most of us, and most people are affected by this. You can also read that and more comprehensively. Now, the story of much known, that is Cop Shakur, also known as Jackson Kariuki. Remember, during the Gen Z's protest, Cop Shakur was out to support the Gen Zs, and now he was arraigned in court. Cop Shakur was arraigned in the court. He was before Nairobi court, and he was charged with multiple charges. The Kenya Prison Service KPS officer Jackson Kuria Kihara, alias Cop Shakur, was yesterday charged with publishing false information under Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act 2018. A story by Alphonse Mungahu. Now that is also there. Remember to read and find out what really happened to Cop Shakur and how his case was ruled. It is there on page 2 of the People Daily newspaper. Now moving on to what is in the cover page. Also, governors persist in crusade for support of learners. Now that story by George Kibaso states, hundreds of thousands of needy students in country risk missing out on their studies as the standoff between national and the county government over educational support, popularly known as bursaries, enters the second week. You remember, all along there has been a fight between the national government and the county government, as the national government insisted that the bursaries which were being given by the governors is unconstitutional. But right now, the governors are out to say that what they did is to support learners to some extent who are not able to meet out to their educational goals by supporting them, and scrapping this off may not augur well with them. You can grab a copy and read of that story. And also we also have another story on the same page 3, tackling teenage pregnancy menace in Kilifi. Now a story by Ruben Mwabingu. Poverty, retrogressive habits have contributed to an alarming number of children mothers. You can also read that story of how Kilifi is battling with teenage pregnancy as well as child mother, children mothers who are coming as that emerges as a result of teenage pregnancies. You can also read that story. It is there on page 3 of the People Daily newspaper. Among the dirty things are dirty dancing, disco matanga, which happen at night, have been blamed for the teenage pregnancy. We have life skill program, equips girls. Now those are some of the programs that they brings in that can help equip the girl child with more vast knowledge to avert the teenage pregnancy in Kilifi County. You can also grab a copy and read that of that story. We move to story. We know that President William Ruto has been camping in Western Kenya in bid to tour the counties across Western Kenya, and we see the goodies coming in as Ruto gives cane farmers 150 million bonus. Now, President pledged to tackle ailing the industry such as mismanagement, corruption, and politics in order to reform the sugar industry in Western Kenya. You can also check the sugarcane farmers within Mumias belt are smiling all the way to the bank after President William Ruto, who is on 6-day tour in Western region dished out bonus amounting to 150 million Kenya shillings. You can also grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read of what the sugar belt, that is the Western County sugar farmers, are enjoying as a result of bonus that the president has given to them. On the same page, we have a story where EACC traces assets worth 16 billion Kenya shillings in the last 1 year. Story by Zadok Angira. Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC traced 16 billion Kenya shillings in illegal acquired and unexplained assets, and also recovered 2.9 billion in corruptly acquired assets in the last 1 year. Now, in the financial year ending 2023-2024, the Anti-Corruption Commission actually managed to recover assets worth 2.9 billion. You can also check that and read much of that story more comprehensively. It is on page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. Now, a story you remember, Nelson Harvey has been out vocal and actually has petitioned the Chief Justice and the 3 bench, and is claiming that they should be out of the office. Now we see a lawyer termed Harvey's quest to oust judges mischievous. Now we have seen a lawyer coming out to also rubbish what Harvey has been trying to push so much. A city lawyer has termed former Law Society of Kenya President Nelson Harvey's call to overhaul the Supreme Court mischievous. In a letter addressed to Harvey, lawyer Paul Kiragu Watuta said effecting Harvey's wishes would lead to constitutional crisis. Now that's also a story I believe you can grab a copy and read much and more comprehensively. Now, over the past 1 week, there's been a lot of bombshell released by Justin Muturi, the Public Service Secretary. He has released a lot of bombshell in the past 1 week, and the country has reacted differently. It has caused mixed reaction from the locals and from the national politics level. Now, today, Muturi is expected to meet Ruto face to face in a cabinet meeting, which is scheduled to take place today. Now, it is their first encounter since Cabinet Secretary outburst on abductions. A story by Dennis Lubanga. Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi is this morning expected to come face to face with President William Ruto for the first time since he sensationally blamed Director General of National Intelligence Service NIS Nordin Haji for the abduction of his son. And remember, this has caused a lot of mixed reaction. As you can see in the story just below that, is that Mount Kenya Group questioned timing of CS expose on abductions and killing. Now, a group has questioned the timing of Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi's revelation that the National Intelligence Service NIS abducted his son. The group, under the banner Mount Kenya Young Leaders, warned that such utterances hurt the country. You can also read much of that story, and we also did give you the story last week. It was in our news bulletin. Remember, grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more comprehensively. Now, moving on to page 5, Donald's promises for the second term in White House. Now, President-elect pledges crackdown on U.S.-Mexico border, more oil drilling, reining in federal workforce, and eradicating diversity programs. You can also check that and read much and more as President-elect Donald Trump gave more promises, which we believe will be able. Now, Trump promises to end 4 years of decline. You can also read there. Fulfilling his pledges will be an uphill battle, according to the health policy experts. IVF is expensive, requiring insurers to pay would most likely mean passing law in Congress or getting IV added to the list of free preventive women health services established by Affordable Care Act. Now, those are some of the promises that Donald Trump, the US president, had made. You can also grab that and read more. And also we see, not going anywhere, Biden says he is passionate about our work on the last day. A story from Washington. President Joe Biden traveled to the state that helped catapult him to the White House in his final full day in office, telling worshippers at the church in North Charleston, South Carolina, we must hold on hope and stay engaged. Now, that is what President Joe Biden has said. And also, Biden urged supporters in Charleston to hold on to hope. That's another story. Outgoing reporters alluded to bitter political disappointment following his withdrawal last summer from the race for a second term office over concerns about age. You can also read that story from Washington, and much more and much more. You can grab a copy and read. Now, Trump schemes, another story is that's on page 8. Trump schemes
your home live TV.
Welcome back. We are sorry for that abrupt break that we just took. It was as a result of technical hiccup that has been resolved. We are back and we are moving with speed to page 14. We are moving with speed to page 14. Construction of market in South B set to start soon. That is in Nairobi, for those who live in Nairobi and South B. The traders have been operating on the road reserves, putting their lives in danger after a land for market was grabbed. A story by Halvin Mwangi. You can also read that, and you can also see Nairobi South C MCA Waithera Chege addresses resident of South B in Nairobi. You can also check that and read much of that story. Now, thousands facing eviction to pave way for housing project. A story by Winston Cheseremi. Close to 5,000 families living in 5 estates in the outskirts of Eldoret City are facing eviction to pave way for President William Ruto's multi-billion shillings housing project. Now, this housing project that is in Eldoret, and it's going to see that over 5,000 families are evicted in order for the project to commence and go on smoothly. You can also read that and more and more and more. Now, we also have a filler story. Women lawmaker tell of Pastor Nganga. A story by Faith Masharia. Women MPs have criticized recent remark by Pastor Nganga of Neno Evangelism Center, which they said trivialized rape and demeaned women. You can also check that and grab that story. Is of a lot of significance. Grab a copy and read much and more. We see traders urge Nyanza leaders to scout for investors to uplift the region. That's under briefly. You can also read much of that story. Now, moving on to page 15, where we see multi-billion project set to transform the face of Kisumu. That's a story that is worth reading. Mega project will be carried out in phases, with the initial one estimated to cost 40 billion Kenya shillings. Story by Kefa Sotieno. In a significant move poised to reshape the urban landscape of Kisumu, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has joined forces with Gulf Cup real estate developers to launch the Lake Victoria Marine Housing Project. The Lake Victoria Marine Housing Project offers a mix of luxurious and residential homes, villas, apartments, and vibrant state-of-art recreational facilities, all at the estimate cost of 120 billion Kenya shillings. We see Kisumu gaining, and Kisumu is set to improve in terms of development and what's going on in Kisumu. As also we move, a story from KNA is that efforts to revive Lospa mining on course. You can also read that Kenya poised for historic re-entry into the lucrative international Lospa market by June this year. You can also grab a copy and read more comprehensively of that story in page 15 of the People. Now we move to page 16 in Homa Bay County, where Homa Bay face of dwindling catch. You know, fishing from Lake Victoria has not been so easy as the catch has reduced. Now we see Homa Bay Governor Gladys Wanga Nyasuna moving with speed to urge Homa Bay residents to adopt cage fishing. You can also read that story. County government comes to the aid of fishers folk, most of whom have been in the business for generations. Story by Habil Onyango. Grab a copy and read more comprehensively. Now let's take on the quote of the day. Page 10 is where we find the People Daily editorial. Now, quote of the day, we have different people speaking here. One of them being Raila Amolo Odinga, the ODM leader. This Lake Victoria Marine Housing Project will change the face of Kisumu and Kenya, bringing international living standard to our people and creating opportunities across all economic states. Now that's what ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga said. And also we also take a quote on from former Limuru MP Peter Mwati. All leaders of sound mind should and must join hands to liberate this country from the yoke of repressive Kenya Kwanza regime. Otherwise, we shall have no country to bequeath to our children. Also, we move to another quote from Kewapo chairperson and Kajiado Women Representative Leah Shankare. She's saying, rape is not a subject for jest or mockery. It is heinous crime that leaves survivors with lifelong emotional, psychological, and physical scars. And now, those are the quote of the day. And also we see cartoon of the day. We also see the cartoon of the day where we see Gachagua has built an ark. It's called Gachagua's Ark, and is sitting there in the ark. And in the ark we see the door to the entry of Gachagua's Ark is opening soon. I don't know who wants to get into Gachagua's Ark, that the door is opening soon. You can also check there, but unfortunately the ark is on the dry land with no tree, with no vegetation, and yet the king in the cartoon, that is Gachagua, is ushering people into the ark that is soon opening. You can get and check on that. And let us move on to the thought of the day from Plato. It says, knowledge without justice ought to be called cunning rather than wisdom. So if you have knowledge and you don't have, you are not just, then that knowledge should be called cunning rather than being called wisdom. That is thought of the day from Plato. Now we are moving with speed. We are moving with speed. We've tackled that, and we've tackled in Homa Bay. We move with speed to more and more stories that we've had for you. Now jump with me onto page 25, where we have Business Hub, People Daily Business Hub, and we see Kenya ratifies treaty to stop tax evasion by global firms. Now, move aligns with the global efforts to close loopholes exploited by multinational corporations to shift profit to low tax jurisdictions. Now, you can read that a story by Noel Wandera. Kenya has ratified an international deal that will see the country shield an estimate of 400 million US dollars, equivalent to 5.17 billion Kenya shillings of tax base from revenue losses caused by multinational corporations who shift their profit to low tax jurisdictions. You can also grab a copy and read much of that story. Now, tea growers lobby warns of 1.4 billion loss amid increase of land invasion. You can also read that the country risks losing about 1.4 billion Kenya shillings in revenue if the ongoing invasion of tea estate in Nandi persists. Kenyan Tea Growers Association Chairman Silas Jibwekale has warned. Now you can also grab a copy and read much of that story on matters of business. And also we see on page 26, reforms in business laws, a game changer for borrowers. You can also read that the law that comes into effect on January 1st has transformed regulatory landscape, providing much needed clarity and oversight while empowering borrowers and financiers alike. You can also read that and much of that story more and more. And also we see Apple suspends error, stun AIG generated news alert. You can also read that and much more. Now we move on to page 27. State disburses 12.6 billion climate adaptation projects. You can also check that senior officials say the fund were disbursed to 45 devolved units last month for climate change mitigation across the country. You can also check that story by Firrst Otieno and read much and more widely. You'll have it there. Now, we also have another story which is of significant. That is Kenya to ban sugar import to boost local production quality. We see that Agricultural CS says move aims to protect local farmers, stabilize sugar industry and support domestic producers. A story by Nicholas Waitahu. Now you can grab a copy and read much more. TikTok flickers back to life after Trump says he will stall the ban. You know, the US actually faced a big challenge when the court passed ruled on TikTok in the US, but we see it is going to be a relief, as now Trump had promised to stall the ban on TikTok in the United States. You can also grab a copy and check on that. Now, Big Bank quit climate group before Trump's. You can also check on that. And we also have industrial leap for Kenya as tire giants invest in Naivasha. You can also check on that story and much more. Mumias Sugar, Mumias bonus defended amid National Stock Exchange return queries. You can also check on that story. Now, bonus stem from improved factory operation as investors seek clarity on farms trading suspension. Story by Firrst Otieno and Dennis Lumiti. Now you can also check on that and read. Now, moving on to the world stories, world news. That ceasefire brings hope for Gaza and the families. That is on page 31. As an Israel-Hamas ceasefire begins, rubble is all that is left in a large swath of southern Gaza, Rafah. You can also check that and read much of that story. And also we see tears, huge Great Palestine released from Israeli prison. You can also check that. And also we have a filler story. Soldiers shoot dead 7 miners in Ghana. You can also read that. At least 7 people have been killed in a clash with the soldiers on duty at a mine in the central Ashanti region, according to the army. You can also check that and read more comprehensively of that story. And we know at least 80 killed in Colombia as talks failed. That's also what you need to get to know on matters of world stories. And we move to sports. For the lovers of sports, we are here. Like I said yesterday, we were mourning as Manchester United twice. Mourning Bob Monroe, the founder of Kenya Football Federation, and we are also mourning the loss as Manchester lost to Brighton 3-0 on a week of Monday. It was tough on us, but again we survived and we are back. We know we'll bounce back. Now, looking into what we have for you in sports is that Swami A, unstoppable on home turf. Champion prove metal with composed performance against Ngara A, led by Patel's composed batting and Vraj's lethal blowing. You can also check that, a story from People Daily newspaper. Now, that's part of the story we have for you. Now, let us get further and see what we have on the stop. Now, Kenyan football loses its guiding light, Bob Monroe, the story that we were giving yesterday. Now, Mathare United and MYSA founder passing mark end of legacy that transformed Kenyan football for generations. His vision will remain etched in the Kenyan football history. You can read much of story of Bob Monroe. He had actually a lot. He did a lot in the Kenyan football, and we say bye, rest in peace. We also move on. Also, we have another story. 8 young players earn top tier scouting deal in Nairobi. You can also read that. JW Foundation FC has set a new milestone in grassroots football development following a successful scouting tour in Nairobi. You can also check on that and read much and more comprehensively. How Tusker intoxicated Gor Mahia, that is also there. You can also check that. Now, unstoppable Ryan Ogam's double help Brewers sink Kogalo. Tusker maintained their firm grip on the Football Kenya Federation Premier League title race with a hard-fought 1-0 victory over the defending champions Gor Mahia at Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. I don't know whether Gor is going to remain the champions if things continue as they are continuing. That's a story on page 37. Grab a copy and read much more. Tides change in Spanish League. Real Madrid returns to top of La Liga as Atletico Madrid goes level with Barca. You can also check that, a story on Monday. Real Madrid returned to the top of La Liga on Sunday with a 1-0 win at home to Las Palmas after Atletico Madrid and FC Barcelona both dropped points. Now, let me take you to what we are having the table, how the table looks. I'm only going to read the top 3 and the bottom 3. Now, starting with English Premier League, Liverpool topping there with 50 points, Arsenal following it with 44 points. All teams having played. They have all played. Liverpool has played 21 games. Arsenal has played 22 games. Nottingham Forest coming third with 44 points, tying with Arsenal. And move on to bottom of the table. We have Southampton with 6 points, Leicester City 14 points, Ipswich Town 16 points. Somebody's waiting to hear where's Manchester United. Manchester United is there on position 13 with 26 points. You can also check there. Moving on to La Liga. In La Liga, we have Real Madrid with 46 points, Atletico Madrid with 44, Barcelona with 39. Bottom, we have Real Valladolid with 15 points, Valencia 16 points, Espanyol with 19 points. Moving into German Bundesliga, Bayern Munich with 45 points, Bayern Leverkusen with 41 points, Frankfurt with 36 points. Bottom, we have Bochum with 10 points, Ostelkel with 11 points, and Heidenheim with 14 points. Italia Serie A, we have Napoli with 50 points, Inter Milan 47, and Atalanta with 43. Bottom of the table, we have Monza 13 points, Venezia 15 points, Verona with 19 points, and finishing with the French Ligue 1, we have PSG leading the table with 41 points, Olympique Marseille with 37, and Lille with 32 points. Bottom, we have this one is Montpellier with 12 points, Le Havre with 13 points, and Saint Etienne with 17 points. That's what we are having there. Now, the La Liga weekend result is also there. Please grab a copy and read much and more comprehensively. Now, let us move on to page 39. Moment of truth at London Marathon. You can see those who are out to fight. That is the greatest elite field in history to run at annual world. We see Mo Farah, we see Eliud Kipchoge, we see They are all here. Eliud Kipchoge, Jacob Kiplimo, Alexander Munyao. We have Tamirat Tola and Sebastian Sewe. Please don't miss London Marathon. It is going to be a moment of record, a moment to see what's going to happen next. And also we see Champion League's actions resume, and we see on form Atletico Madrid host German champion Leverkusen in a match of high stakes. You can also grab a copy and read much of that story. Now, thank you so much, my dear viewers, for staying tuned to BTV, staying tuned to the vibrant morning. That is all we had for you when it came to the newspaper review. Remember, you can now grab a copy of the People Daily newspaper and read more comprehensively. I was just giving you a brief of what is in the People Daily newspaper. Remember, BTV, your home live TV, brings you programs across the day. Morning, vibrant morning, we have lifestyle, we also have Brudani Extra, and late in the evening we'll bring you news as they come in. Remember to keep tuned to BTV. You need services such as video production, video coverage, live coverage, photography, advertising. Don't look anywhere, just look into BTV. Reach on to us and we'll give you the services as required. Thank you so much for keeping tuned to BTV. I want to wish you a happy and a lovely Tuesday. Go out there, it is possible, and do what you do best. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Tuesday. I'm your host, Gagi Saya.
This is BTV Kenya, your home live TV.